large organ of a person, like their entire body, that
Yes.
for it to have an effect to change somebody psychologically and emotionally, or their taste in something, I think is incredibly fascinating.
Oh yeah, for
And a
sure.
little bit scary.
Yeah, a little bit, isn't it? Because I mean, it is a piece of said person, the organ donor. It is a piece of them that's going into somebody else,
Yeah.
and that person will always have that piece of said person. So it's kind of like it just filters through, I guess. Maybe it takes time. Maybe it's not quite abrupt and it doesn't happen overnight, but slowly but surely the other person's DNA or, organ kind of
Mm.
works its magic and it melds with its host, I guess.
Certainly very, very interesting. It's one of those interesting things that every time I see, I think, oh, that's strange. Because the person doesn't know, the receiver of the organ doesn't generally know where that organ has come from.
No, no, you wouldn't know. It would just.
And then it's when they've traced it back and they've said, oh, yeah, my husband was hit and killed by a car, and his heart was transplanted and donated to somebody, and that person turns up and says, "Yeah, it was donated to me." Strange things have happened.
Yeah, I
I've,
now
I've
like rock climbing.
yeah, and they say, "Oh, that's so strange because my husband loved rock climbing." I
Yeah.
certainly don't think there's anything paranormal in it. I don't think that
No.
a piece of that person's ghost has got into the organ. I think there's something scientific behind it, certainly. But I just find those little tidbits of news quite fascinating.
That's good.
Yes. Did you also see, because I kind of mentioned this at work, so I was a bit cross, the Chapel Hill shootings in America?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Did you see how silent Western media was about it?
Yes, and it's
And
it's
then
really sad. But Twitter wasn't. Twitter and Facebook were going absolutely apeshit,
Yeah.
and rightly so. That's why so much, media attention was forced upon what had happened because they couldn't be quiet if outcries happening on social media.
Yeah, I was really quite cross because I think it was in Denmark a day or so later, some crazy guy went around shooting somebody that had drawn a picture of the Prophet Muhammad and shot people. Or one person died and some had been injured, and that got media attention.
Really?
But yeah, but three innocent people
Yeah.
being shot in America, like from the same family by one person, I can guarantee you, if the races or religions of that had been reversed, it would have been more interesting for the news media.
Oh yeah, for sure. It would have been
But
picked up like
yeah,
hotcakes.
but because it was brown people that were Muslim
Yeah.
shot by a white person, wasn't
It didn't make
interesting.
news.
And
No.
I was furious because I think, if we're going to give terrorism things like that legs and put it in the media all the time and give them the airtime that people want to give them, I think that we should balance it out and say not everybody that gets shot and killed is a white person. Some
Yeah.
of them are Muslim and some of them are innocent. In fact, most of them are innocent. Hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of millions of Muslims and Christians and Catholics and Jews are all bloody innocent and they get killed. And you have to balance it, and you have to show that people that are innocent get killed. And for me, as a white person, I get really, really annoyed by it because it just riles people up the wrong way. And
Completely, and then it just adds to that tension.
yeah, and it dehumanizes culture
Yes.
as well. It goes from being, about a small minority of people that follow a particular religion to suddenly everybody in that religion is a murderer. And I find it very frustrating, especially because in the 80s and early 90s, nobody gave a crap about Muslims. You had rappers and you had actors that
Nobody
had...
really cared about anybody, to
No.
be fair. It's just, oh, okay, it didn't matter. Your first question wasn't, oh, so what religion do you follow?
Yeah, and then a small minority of people from whatever background or whatever religion it is that they are do something bloody horrific, and suddenly everybody's to blame.
Yeah, everyone's painted with the same brush. Yeah, I was just very, very upset, and my heart felt very heavy when I read what happened. It's one of those things that I can't really vocalize and put into words and articulate how I'm feeling. I'm struggling to kind of do that now. It's just all of this tension has been built up over such a long time that now people they just have such hatred towards another group of people that they don't even know, they haven't even met, you know. Like you said, it's just a few bunch of absolute idiots who did something tragic and unfair and inhumane that now basically people think that all Muslims are terrorists. I mean, my family are Muslims, I'm not, and it just feels like, even when I go out with my mother, she wears a headscarf, and if we go to the, you know, local market to do our weekly shop or something like that and pick up our fruit and veg, I noticed that we get treated differently. I get treated differently because I'm with her. And she gets treated differently because she's wearing a scarf. And it annoys me so much that I just try and keep a lid on it. Because otherwise, you know, I'm just going to end up screaming at these absolute idiots for judging somebody that they know nothing about. I feel so, you know, my heart goes out to the family that were... Because they were a family. It was a husband, a wife, and the wife's sister that were just brutally gunned down. I want to know from the I want to hear from the gunner. I don't know if they've published any articles on, you know, on his why he did it or what were his reasons to do something like that. I know he did give himself up though.
Yeah, I don't think there's been, I haven't really seen anything else published on it. Apparently all over his Facebook is atheist, but there's also talk of a parking dispute.
Parking dispute? Wow.
Yeah, so it could be either of those reasons.
Fucking parking dispute. I mean, nothing justifies, you know, brutally killing somebody and taking another human's life away and completely devastating a family, a community, you know, a neighborhood. When I was reading up on the, you know, community and people who lived in the same area and how it wasn't really an area that something like that had happened in, or things like that really happened in general. It was quite close-knit, it was quiet, you know, people got on with what they were doing and got on with their life and just were living. And now 3 people aren't. I do feel that it should have got a lot more attention in the media than it has received.
Yeah, I do as well. And I think it should have, because this sort of thing can happen to anyone, but it's almost as if it only happens to anyone if that person happens to be white.
Yes, or if that person happens to not be Muslim.
Yeah. You know, normal things, not normal things, but normal murders don't happen to Muslims. Muslims only die when they're blowing themselves up or they're being shot by other Muslims or some other religion. And it is awful because people. I've always said that, people. I never judge anybody based on what somebody else has done, not even if it's a family member. Like I know I've got like really, really good friends and their family members have done like shitty things to other people, or they're just arseholes. I don't judge that family member on them because they're a different person.
Yeah.
You know, they grew up in the same...
out judging the whole family.
No, exactly. And I can't, because I wouldn't want anybody to judge me. And, you know, people do, but I'm fortunate enough that I'm white. And I have to say that because it is, you know, a lot of it is white privilege. It really is. We don't notice these things as much as somebody from a ethnic minority background would notice them. Like if I were to go to, say, Morocco, or I was to go to somewhere in the Middle East, I would freak the fuck out, and I know I would, because I would stick out like a sore thumb and people would look at me and I would be judged because I wouldn't be dressed like them. You take anybody out of a situation that they're comfortable in, surrounded by people that they see every day, like a white person seeing white faces every day, and you throw them in another, you know, even if you were to go to a different area of the country that you're not familiar, you would stick the fuck out.
Yeah,
and you would think, and you would be judged, and you would
I have done
shit.
in the past, actually, when I went to college, and when I moved, the college campus, or college that was based in, it was predominantly a white area, and so honestly, the amount of, you know, people that I saw there, you know, of different ethnicities, I could probably count on one hand, and I was there for a whole year, and there were plenty of moments when we used to go out on a weekend, or, you know, Friday night out, let's go to the pub or something, where I just get funny looks for no reason, because I'd be the only Asian in a pub full of white people. I understand curiosity, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be curious, but don't start making, you know, racist remarks.
Or even a bit surprised, because
exactly.
I
go and talk to the person.
Yeah, I
strike up a conversation.
Yeah, my town is, and probably will always be, predominantly white. We had one black family and I think 2 Chinese families. So a lot of people from my area weren't used to seeing somebody from a different different ethnic background. So I can understand, people being a bit interested and a bit surprised and a bit, oh, that's different. But it's when it's taken a step further to people almost scowling and then saying something underneath their breath because they think they're fucking clever, or saying, why don't you go back where you came from? And you'd be like, what, Leicester?
Yeah, exactly.
You want me to go back to Leicester? What the
Royal
fuck?
Infirmary. Do you want me to go back there? Because kind of where I was born.
Yeah, back in my mum. Bit big for that. But because
that would destroy her.
Yeah, because people are so stupid.
I know.
And that's why I thought this story about the Chapel Hill shootings should have had more publicity, because this is a normal family living a normal life. And that is what the news is, a normal family living a normal life.
Yeah, that was gunned down tragically.
Yeah, but it wasn't, because there were, and I genuinely felt it's because they were Muslim, genuinely.
Yeah.
And
so does everybody else.
Yeah, and it upset the shit out of me. It really did.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that's going to keep happening, because people don't want to hear stories about a normal Muslim family being gunned down. They want to hear stories about, a middle-class white family being gunned down by a Muslim, because that enrages people more. But it shouldn't, because everybody is a person. Everybody's a normal person. Don't judge everybody on what somebody else that they don't even bloody know has done.
I always say that everybody is a human first, regardless of what colour your skin is, what religion you follow, your beliefs, whether you like peanut butter or not. Everybody is human first.
If they like crunchy or smooth peanut butter.
I'm a smooth peanut butter type of girl.
See, I'm a crunchy peanut butter girl. Do you see what I mean? We could start a peanut butter religion.
Or
We've now got two factions of peanut butter lovers that fundamentally love the same thing, but we need to go murdering people, because as far as I'm concerned, you should be dead, because crunchy peanut butter is the only way forward. You full of shit.
No, it's not. You're full of shit. And your shit's probably full of bits of crunchy peanut butter.
It is, and my shit's lovely. It scratches on the way out.
That is disgusting.
But yeah, so that was one of the things that I felt had to be said, because it has to be said somewhere. And we are all human, we're all people, we live on the same planet, we have to go through the same shit every day. Let's just bloody
be nicer to each other, man.
Exactly, just be nice. Why can't people just be nice?
Like when we were saying earlier that, interest is great. Curiosity is a wonderful, fantastic thing. That's like one of the driving forces that you have when you want to learn a language, because you're curious about it, or you're interested about it, or, study a different culture or go traveling. These are all great things, but there's different ways of approaching it.
And don't be afraid. Just because something's different, just because something's unusual, just because something's what you're not used to, you don't have to be afraid. Stop being a douche.
Your fear shouldn't be the first thing.
No, exactly.
You
should think,
difference is good.
Difference is good. And if we were all the same, life would be very boring.
Yeah.
It really would. And I love that we're all different. I love that everybody's different. I love that, people can be different. And I will eat smooth peanut butter, but I prefer crunchy.
I might have a nibble of crunchy peanut butter, but I'm happy with the smooth. I'm comfortable with that.
and all that matters is that it's peanut butter.
Exactly. And see, we're still friends.
We are, and we actually have a lot of separate. There's lots of different things.
Oh, completely. Like, you love horror movies, and I will not watch it. Unless, like I said, it's an animated horror. You like crunchy peanut butter, and I don't. You're straight. I'm not. There's so many opposite things to us and opposite facets, but we get on so well.
No, we do. We have, because even though we have these differences and we can notice these differences, we have so much more in common.
Yeah.
That is what is important. That's what's important to me. The things that we have in common are things that we share.
Yes.
Not the things that we can't share, like eating crunchy peanut butter while watching a horror film and sitting with your
girlfriend
or my boyfriend.
Yeah.
You're going to have to sit there watching cartoons, making out with your girlfriend while eating smooth peanut butter. You're just going to have a shit time.
No, actually, it's going to be magical. It's going to be great. I can't wait. I look forward to that day. And on that note,
smooth peanut butter.
Wow, that was really pervy and horrible.
Oh, peanut butter.
On that note, thanks for listening, guys. I think that's a good point for us to kind of cut off, because we're looking to kind of get these podcasts between 40 and 50 minutes. It is easier said than done, because when we get talking, we just...
It doesn't stop.
No, it really doesn't. We could sit here for hours and hours and hours, but...
And we would still find things to talk about.
Yeah, anything and absolutely everything. We'll probably end up talking about calendars.
I was actually thinking about calendars today.
Were you really?
I really was.
See, we're just so in sync.
It's so weird you would mention that.
It's the first thing that came to mind.
Of course it is, because it was what was in my mind earlier.
Yeah. So I'm just getting the delayed feed.
You are,
because,
you are.
Your brain takes a little longer to kind of pass that information on to me because you're older.
This is true. My processors are much, much slower than yours. Yeah. And also, it probably takes a while for your brain to understand what my brain's going on about. Take out the swearing. Yeah. And then put it into some kind of normal order, because let's be honest, if anything, if my thoughts could be visualized, it would be like, if anybody's seen, which I know you haven't, Event Horizon, it's when